Welcome back to another episode of MMA Breakdowns and Bets. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Hit share, hit like, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. Come join us on the Patreon and the Discord. Get all of our bets, not only our bets, but just everyone's bets on pretty much every card. We've got a great community who is all working toward making money together. And then definitely sign up for our newsletter so you guys get some free tips, some free picks, all of the good inside information. All of the links are below in the show notes. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show. Before we talk about fights, we've got to have real talk. Potholes.
Okay.
What's your stance on a nectarine?
I don't even know what a nectarine is.
What about a peach? It's a peach without hair.
Don't know what a peach is. Don't know what a nectarine is.
Is this a millennial thing or a you thing? Like, this is not acceptable.
I don't know. I don't think I'm a millennial, actually. I think I'm outside of the bounds of millennial.
Do you know what fruit is?
Fruit, yes. My mom just got me an edible arrangements for my birthday. One of the best gifts you could give somebody.
Are you 74? And is she 96?
It's the best gift you can give somebody, other than herpes.
What was in your edible arrangements? Was there fruit in there?
It was all fruit. No nectarines, though. Bananas, cantaloupe, honeydew, pineapple, strawberries.
Bananas are the most offensive thing I can think of in all of humanity, in all of the world, is a banana.
Nobody in my life has ever liked bananas. I love bananas.
Of course you do. They're disgusting. What's your stance on honeydew? People are very offended by honeydew a lot.
Ooh.
They love it or they hate it.
One of the best fruits that you can have.
Do you feel the same way about cantaloupe?
Yes, not as good as honeydew, but pretty damn close. All of those pale in comparison to nectarines.
Clearly. See, I'm on team cantaloupe, and I think honeydew, I'd be okay if I never ate another piece of honeydew in my life. But a nectarine, I take offense to a soft nectarine or a soft peach. I want it to be as crunchy and snap like a pencil breaking. Same with a pear. I don't want a soft pear. I want an unripened, crunchy pear. And
same with a sausage.
Otherwise, they're disgusting. No. I don't know what's going on over there. You're talking about a whole different level of fruit over there.
No, sausage. You got to have a snap in it. I listen to I watch a lot of barbecue shows. You got to have a snap in that.
A snap in a sausage. I don't know about that. What I do know is that, do you actually not know what a nectarine is?
I couldn't pick a nectarine out of a lineup if that's what you're asking me.
Oh my gosh, this is all right. Well, I guess we're there. I guess this is where we're at, folks. Last week we had some fights. Did pretty well. What did I screw up on? Terrence McKinney. I think you're right. I tried to give him a little bit.
What is your love for him? I don't understand it.
I don't have.
You do
love
this
for
every
him.
single time.
No, I don't have love for him. I chose against him with Frivola. I did choose him for Zayam. I thought. Here's what it was. I thought that I thought exactly what happened in the first round was going to happen, but I thought heuld be able to finish the choke. So he's going to get the takedown. He's going to get his back, and he didn't finish.
What
the
happened?
choke.
I didn't get to watch the fight. So he took him down.
Literally, first round was Camuela Estevan, round one. Within a minute, took him down, took his back, fought for the choke the whole round. I think within like a few 15, 20 seconds, Naz scrambled out, wiggled out. But that was it. And so that's kind of what I thought, is that he would throw some strikes, catch Naz a little bit, and then shoot and take him down, take his back. But Naz was just good enough at defending that rear naked choke. And then, of course, gassed him out. And weird, they ended up in a weird scramble, and he ended up getting his arm. Terrence McKinney's arm got trapped kind of behind his back, and then he got choked out. He was like one arm back there. It was kind of a weird one. But, yes, it was a weird one. But McKinney, man, he's a round one world beater. And after round one, he's definitely pretty human. But other than that,
the world
I think
beats him.
Yeah, it was a pretty good card on everything. We got some random weird MMA stuff going on these days. I want to hear your thoughts on a couple of these. And we talked about one a little bit. We talked about Francis Ngannou signing a PFL. You said you didn't give a shit. But now that Francis is fighting Tyson Fury, I don't even really care about that, just in the sense where I'll watch it because I want to watch somebody die. But have you heard Chael Sonnen's remarks on Tyson Fury about this?
No, do tell. Do tell. I don't listen to right-wing propaganda like you, so do tell.
Yeah, it's all, so I was at Trump's house, and we were talking to Uncle
Mr.
Chow.
Q.
Yeah. And
hey, you do have a picture with Putin. You do have a picture with Putin. That's all I'm going to say.
I do have a picture with Putin. Chow was saying that Tyson Fury is an absolute bully and should be ashamed of himself for taking this fight and is basically a monster and a horrible human for doing this. And he was really, really derogatory of Tyson Fury for doing this fight. What's your thought on that?
It's just Chael doing headlines, getting people to chatter, getting people to talk. I mean, a free payday for the easiest boxing fight that you've ever had. Like, why would you not? Call me whatever you can call me anything you want. I'll never talk to anybody again after that kind of payday.
More millions for this payday than he will his entirety of his career. He could walk off into the sunset. Okay, good. I'm glad you were there with me on that because I didn't really see any comments or anything, but I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, this is the biggest payday in Ngannou. This is the biggest favor anyone's ever done in Ngannou. Just letting him fight Fury for kidding. Whatever it is. Okay, I was curious about that. Bellator PFL merger. Do you care? That's the rumors that Bellator is buying. I'm sorry, that PFL is buying Bellator, and that quite a few of the Bellator fighters are now free agents, including Michael Venom Page.
I don't know where you're getting that story from because there was something about the UFC website with all the guys on the UFC website, no, Michael Venom Page. And
so I actually looked, so I saw on, it was a Boisterous Boys thing talking about all of that. So I actually went to the UFC.
Boisterous Boys. Yes, my favorite.
I went to the UFC's website and actually looked all of that. None of those guys were on at all. But Venom Page has actually gone on his Instagram and said like, hey, I am a free agent right now. We'll see where I end up landing. But separate from that, the rumor is that PFL is in the works of buying Bellator, and that there's probably going to be a merger between those two soon. Do you think it is good, bad, doesn't matter? It's going to hurt, going to whatever?
I'm not really sure. Just me personally, I like the Bellator product a lot better than the PFL product. So for me personally, that will hurt and it will consume a lot more of my life if we have to go at PFL pacing forever. I'm being serious.
No, I know.
PFL is one of the worst products to me. But it'd be good. I mean, it'd be good for them to have a bigger talent pool. And obviously, anytime you see, two organizations get together like RFA and what was LFA
Legacy.
at the time?
Legacy.
Yeah, just Legacy. Seeing those two merge and all the great talent pool that came together, obviously it's always a good thing and to give the UFC some competition. So if that does happen, I'm all for it. I love it. I just really hope they can get their shit together because it's such a miserable product as of now.
And not only that, so of course watching it, the two issues that I have in Bellator and PFL are the both issues. When you go to a UFC event, it is, and I mean as a fighter, as a coach backstage, it is run like a professional organization. Every call time is perfect. You know exactly where you're at. You know where you're supposed to be. There are people everywhere. There are handlers. You go in the back, you get your bag, you have your stuff, you're in your spot. Everything is perfect. Bellator and way worse PFL. It is like you are going, like you and I are promoting a show in a local high school. And all right, guys, go in the back and find a place to warm up. Anybody need a pack of cigarettes and a beer before you go out? I mean, it's like, it is JV Bush League. And there's there's literally people's kids working there, bringing the fighters and ushering them around to like stage.
That's good. That's good. It's teaching them life lessons early.
No, it is comedy. And then the other part is the distribution channels. I never know when PFL or Bellator are. The distribution channels are horrible. Their marketing is horrible. I hope whatever happens that somebody takes their head out of their ass and actually like hires somebody who can actually market and get this product out. Because what PFL has always done in the past, PFL used to be a World Series. It's just a bunch of people who know each other and are taking big salaries but don't actually know anything about anything. So, man, I really
if they're hiring. Hey, I'm looking for a job.
I know. All right, one last one. DDP, he won't go away, and now he's fighting Izzy. Izzy's drunken racial slurs in the cage. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it. I thought it was funny, but I know a lot of people don't like Izzy, and it's funny. Like, the more controversy Izzy drums up by people hating the stupid shit that he says, the more famous he gets, and the more people tune into his fights. So, I mean, I don't care. I'm more interested to see the fight itself. How far can Diakiese take this? Like, just this guy who's, I don't know how to describe him. Like, he was getting beat by Trevin Giles until he catches him. He's getting beat by all these guys who looks horrible in every fight and always finds a way to win. So, let's see how far he can take this. And honestly, after that last performance, like, I know if people got doubts, like, maybe he can do this. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he can do it again.
The Whitaker one was impressive. A lot of the other ones, it looks like he squeaked through and barely got by. The Whitaker one, it looks about 3 minutes into round one, his pressure started to wear on Whitaker, and that tide started turning. That was actually impressive. But he kind of reminds me, and I don't want to accuse, but man, there's something EPO-ish that reeks of all of this, where he just won't die and is just there. We've seen it a lot with the Bellator fighters. We've seen it a lot with the PFL guys, where they're dead on the stool in between rounds, and then they just revitalize themselves and go marching back out.
Like Mike Hamill.
But it just, I don't know. Maybe there's not anything that's going on. I don't know. It just seems very weird the way that he is like dying all the time and then just revitalizes and comes back. So, but personally, I like the antics with Izzy. Bring all the slurs. Let everyone have all the slurs, and Izzy can have them all and do all this crazy stuff and be nuts. Nothing offends me, so I'm not offended by it. But I was just curious on your thoughts on some MMA stuff before we get going. You've got 15 fights on this card to break down, so let's get going. So since you're probably going to want to touch on Bruna Brazil and Shauna Bannon, I know that you asked specifically for that. So I'll touch on this first one, Jafel Filho and Daniel Barez first. Flyweights, two really good flyweights. This whole card actually reminds me, I think it was the card with Camuela on it, where every fight on the card was really competitive. It was like, man, any one of these fights could have gone either way. This whole card, for the most part, I see as being a pretty well matched card in terms of competitiveness. But this first fight is that both these guys are really good. Filho is he looks like a big flyweight to me. He looks massive. Pretty good jiu-jitsu. He attacks a submission really well. He's a kicker. His kicks are good, and he's actually not a bad puncher, but he doesn't look comfortable punching. And then we have Barez on the other side, we saw him on the Contender Series with Carlos Hernandez.
Carlos, yeah.
That was a really good fight. I thought Barez might have won that. I was rewatching that fight. I was like, man, that was a really, really close fight. Crazy scrambles, really good offensive wrestling. And what I loved about his offensive wrestling is he would shoot. Hernandez would stop the initial shot, and he would run through it and just blast his way through, which was beautiful to see. Good low kicks, good fight IQ, really good cardio. This is a very close fight to me, but I think I got to go Barez because Filho will lay on his back a little bit. He'll lay on his back. He does have great submissions, but he's not always fighting his way up. And then the cardio. Barez, if this is a barn burner, I think Barez's cardio is going to be a little bit better than Filo's later in that second round and into that third round. I think Filo's best bet is to find a submission early if Barez starts blast doubling, kind of jump into those guillotines or something. But we saw with JDM that doesn't work well. And if you don't get the guillotines, then you're on your back. And Filho is going to lay on his back. And I think Barez will be able to steal the moment. So I like Barez here. I'm not like screaming craziness, but the cardio and the fight IQ, given the skill set, I think it's probably a decent lean.
I don't see how Barez doesn't win this. I don't know. It's weird. Listening to you talk, I feel like you're a little bit too high on, what's his name? Filho. Sorry. I'm trying to pull up Bet Online here. It's having me on disgusting ACA. Wow. Centurion FC. Wow. There's a lot of stuff this week. Okay. Yeah. I love, Barez here. I think that guy has been UFC quality for a long, long, long time. That fight with Carlos, like you said, Carlos, and man, we saw how good Carlos looked in his last fight. That kid looked amazing, looked unstoppable. And you're right. I think Barez had a very good case for winning that fight. I remember at the time I had bet on Carlos because I knew him pretty well. And I think that was the same fight card with Christian and Junior, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who's on any of our cards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the same card with C-Rod and Junior Cortez, who's fighting coming soon. But yeah, man, Barez does everything well. The guy is massive for a flyweight. He was as tall as Carlos, but he was filled out everywhere. Big arms, big chest, big legs, didn't get tired, great low kicks, great hands. And you're right. I think Filho, when he does throw, like he has the athletic ability to throw punches, but he doesn't know how to put anything together. It's a one-off style and he's uncomfortable. He will throw and he can throw, but it's not like, all right, I'm throwing this jab to set up, my second, third punches to set up my takedowns. He's not even as tricky of a jiu-jitsu guy as you kind of hope for, right? Mokaev got a little bit careless with that leg sticking in and he just kind of rolled underneath and took it from him. Man, I just think Barez is a guy that just does every single thing right. He's big, he's physical, he's aggressive, he hits hard. It doesn't get tired. Like Barez to me is the play far and away. I love that Barez play.
And he's
there.
a dog. I think he's plus 105 right now is what I was looking at on Bovada.
Yeah, plus 110 on Bet Online. So I love that.
Okay. And then something else to think about here is this is in London. So Filo's going to have to travel, across continents, whereas, Barez is a quick little puddle jump flight from Spain. I think, I know he's from Spain. Do you know if he trains in Spain or if he's...
I'm not really sure. Maybe we can look it up. Daniel Barez.
But
Barez.
Either way, he's going to be used to...
Valencia, España. And I forgot his girlfriend is, Christina BJJ. She's a black belt. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter flight for him. He's a big old flyweight.
Yep. All right, man, we've got Bruna, Brazil, and Shauna Bannon coming up. Go for it. I know you're dying. I was going to do all of this, and I said, no, fine, I'll let you do it because you wanted to, so...
Yeah, not dying, but I mean, this seems like a really good opportunity and a really good spot here. To be honest, what scares me the most about this fight card is, mostly on the London cards or the Canada cards or like the themed cards, like the home country is always the A side pretty much in every matchup. And what's scaring me is that I'm picking against the A side so many times on this fight card that it worries me a bit, right? And this is a matchup here, right? Not necessarily that, what's her name? O'Bannon or just Bannon?
Bannon. Yep, just Bannon.
Bannon. Yeah, she's not from London, right? But she's the European girl, right? Fighting the Brazilian. So like you said, a much different skip and a jump. To me, this is like kind of two similar fighters, right? They're both really kick heavy. Bruna Brazil never throws her hands, even though they're okay when she does throw them. She's so kick heavy and so counter heavy. But man, Bannon is extremely unathletic, can't wrestle. She's slow on the feet, one-off kicks, one-off punches, fights so close with girls that are horrible. The speed, the athleticism, like everything to me is on the side of Bruna Brazil here. So if Bruna loses, I really would be shocked here. Like I legitimately would be shocked. I know the last fight was bad. I picked her over Denise Gomez. Who could have seen Denise Gomez looking the way that she did, right? Even if she beat Bruna Brazil. Yeah, for anyone to think she also comes out and starches Yasmin the way that she did, you'd be like, no, you're crazy. So clearly that girl's a lot better than we give her credit for. But also watching Bruna in that fight, she looked sick. You watch her old fights, right? She's bouncing. She's got a swagger. She's drawing girls in. She's moving out of the way and counter punching. In that fight, she bounced kind of like one time, and then she was flat footed and would just stand there and get hit and get hit and get hit. And that girl dogged her. I don't know if that was a sickness. I don't know if it was UFC jitters. I think we're going to see a much, much, much better Bruna Brazil, who's by far the supreme athlete, by far faster, by far cleaner, more technical. You know what's so funny is I was listening to Bannon talk in a video, and she's like, I'm a 7-time world kickboxing champion, and I'm an 8-time Ireland kickboxing champion or something like that. And I just thought to myself, her and Bea Malecki would have been the greatest fight of all time. That many world titles in one ring.
Oh my gosh. It would have been a barn burner. Knockout.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Round 1.
I'm sure.
All right. So Bruna, Brazil, it is. There's nothing else to say there. Couldn't add anything that you already said. So we've got Chris Duncan and Yanal Ashmouz after this fight. And this actually, I was pretty hard on Yanal when he made his debut. And I don't know that I was necessarily, I was kind of hard on him. It wasn't, I mean, some of it was warranted. Of course, he won. Even him winning, I don't think we were wrong in the assessment. Look, people get caught, people get clipped. I think whoever he fought in that fight, I forget. I still think is a much better fighter than Yanal, but he got hit with the overhand. But Yanal's striking, it's very predicated on that big overhand. But when he throws, it's actually a little bit tighter and more compact and more direct than I remember. And more so, it's tighter and direct than Chris Duncan, who just, everything is just so loopy and labored when he's punching. And he likes to lead with that chin so much. Like when he's throwing an overhand, he's leading with his head out there and then swinging his arms behind his head. And he just gets clipped. He's a hittable guy. His striking's not bad. It's just so sloppy. Like we saw Cannibal, Charlie, what's his name? Cannibal.
Charlie Campbell, the GOAT.
Campbell, yeah.
That dude from Cumbo Capital has no idea about this guy, but he's very good.
He's very good. Really, I mean, just cleaning him up and just got clipped by Duncan. And we saw against Slava, and Slava's really good, but man, Duncan can get punched in the face. The issue is he can actually wrestle a decent bit too, and he's got good cardio, and he's been over at ATT. If he comes out and just wrestles Yanal, this is his fight. But I actually think if he stands with Yanal and gets comfortable, because what Yanal does is he will get taken down, but he's just compact enough to kind of wiggle his way back up, and he still seems to have good speed and power after wrestling, which is actually a rarity, especially for strikers who, don't have a really high level grappling background, but he takes his time, he gets back up, and he's still there to strike. But can he do it again and again and again and again? And that's the big question. I think if Duncan comes out and wrestles him, I think he could really put a beating on him. I think he's bigger than him. He can hang on him, and he just has to not die. But man, if he strikes with him too much, I think he's out. I lean Duncan here, but I think this is a fight to go live and see how the first round plays out. I don't know if I would want to touch it until round 1 ends, because I could see Yanal actually clipping him in round 1. Like I said, I think there's a lot of live that could go on here, but I lean Duncan on
it. There's a bet that people are sharing in the Discord that I like, the Yanal finish only bet. Scorecards, no action. I think that's a good bet. I think with Chris Duncan, I understand what you're saying, but not every fight can be crazy like that, right? Not every fight is going to be, knock him out, drag him out kind of fights for him. And it was so weird as, last fight card, everybody was picking Omar Morales over him. I don't think I saw a single person on Duncan. And that seems to be the same rhetoric. And it's funny when everyone gets in the same rhetoric every time, it always goes the other way, right? The whole narrative is like, he's so chinny. And, even my lesson learned is there's been guys that we identified as so chinny and we saw them getting clipped, and all of a sudden they had the best chin ever, and they didn't. And they went to the finish line and they won the fight, and pretty convincingly. I think this is Duncan's fight. I have been watching Yanal since Cage Fury, CFFC. I'll never pick for him. I'll never pick Yanal in any fight ever. If Ryan Rizko didn't death gas in that fight, Ryan Rizko's okay. He's fine. He's serviceable. He can wrestle a little bit. Got dead tired, and that's why he ended up losing the fight. Like, I can't pick a guy with Yanal's skills. One thing he does look is extremely strong. I mean, the guy looks like retard strength strong. Like, he is so compact, like you said, and just crazy strong. But I think he lacks a lot of size, like a lot of length. I think he lacks a lot of skills. And Duncan may be chinny and maybe a little bit wide, but I think he's a better generalist, and maybe another good spot to take him here. I think he's just a better mixed martial artist and more seasoned, and I think he's more ready for the UFC than Yanal is. And I could look like an idiot. He could, come out and get one punch. But I got Chris Duncan here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong on that. And I don't think he's chinny enough to just get chinned the way that whoever Yanal fought last just got chinned. And I don't think he's so wide to just not get in. I guess my point with him, and I like I said, I lean Duncan here, but if Duncan stands too much and is too comfortable, he can get clipped.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and so
everybody else has done it,
Well, that's the thing is we see Duncan go out and strike, and then when he gets clipped is when he starts wrestling. And if he would just go out there and actually wrestle right off the bat, he took Omar Morales down, who is a legitimately good defensive wrestler. You look at his defensive wrestling; it's phenomenal. And we were actually our guy JSP fought him and went upper body with him, and JSP took him down quite a few times, and he kept popping up. And then of course JSP just broke him with the pressure. But man, Duncan was redirecting, lifting him, and really running him. So it was really impressive. And if he would just do that early before he gets clipped, just do that. Like that's all you have to do.
Well, Duncan watches the show. So Chris, if you could just do a wrestle heavy game plan, I think we can win this one.
That's it. Just do it. And again, he's at ATT. Those guys are honestly, I think, one of the best gyms in the world right now. So, all right, next up we have Ketlen Vieira and Pannie Kianzad. This is you again, which I mean, it's weird how this keeps ending up this way. While you talk about this, I'm going to go grab a Spindrift sparkle water. So get us going.
No, actually, I'm not going to do this one. I didn't get to this one or tape this one, but go ahead and grab a drink. I'll hang out for a minute.
All right. Okay. So this one, oddly enough, I was going to tape, and I thought you were just so obsessed with it that I didn't tape it because I thought you were going to tape it. So, man, this is just me. My mind just slipped on this one. So, well, let's get to Bryan Barberena and Makhmud Muradov for our people's main event. Now I'll go grab a Spindrift.
Okay. Yeah, I see everybody on this spot. Everybody on the Makhmud train. Are you actually grabbing a drink or not?
No, 100%.
That was so fast. Do you have a refrigerator right next to your microphone?
So no, but I don't judge me. Don't judge me. I don't need your judgments. But I
snap your fingers and
Oh, I got blurry. Why is my camera all blurry? Okay, there we go. Stupid shitty webcams. I like my drinks room temperature. So I leave them out, not in the fridge.
You're foul. It's what I would expect from a QAnon.
I like what I like, man. Why am I blurry? There you go. Focus.
I thought it was just me.
So, am I blurry still?
Well, it's just our connection. You know me. I got the worst connection in the freaking planet.
You have the worst connection ever, but I'm blurry even on my side. I think it's my stupid webcam. It's like, it'll like refocus and recalibrate. I don't know. I don't get it. All right. Tell us about Muradov and Barberena.
Well, why don't you go? Because you were going to give me Ketlen, but I took my get out of jail free card. So why don't you lead this one off and I'll hit the next one?
Okay. So, like you said, Muradov is the A side here. He's a 185er. I don't know why Barberena is going up to 185. It could be the UFC was like, hey, we're going to cut you, but if you do us this, you're still on the roster. I don't know. And that's just speculation with me. I don't know why. Or maybe Barberena wanted to fly across the pond to fight. I don't know why. He's going up in weight class. If anything, Barberena almost looks like he could go down a weight class if he got into a little bit better shape. You know what I mean? But Muradov is good, man. He counters so well. I mean, people throw on him. He draws people in so well, and he doesn't just swing to swing. He finds these really good counters on the way in. He rocks back and is sniping this like one right hand over the top, rocks back and isn't just check hooking, but he'll come up with a almost like a lead uppercut rocking back. That's a check hook. He really does a lot of stuff well. He's big, he's fast, he's athletic. He can actually wrestle. He can, which Barberena we've seen can't wrestle to save his life if he would just shoot in. We saw him defensively scramble with Kyle Bahalo quite a bit. And honestly, if he just didn't lay on his back so much, he might have been able to win that fight with Kayao a little bit. In some moments, like there was a winnable fight for him. He lost it based on some fight IQ stuff, but I think that was a winnable fight. And I think everyone's pretty big on Kayao Bahalo right now.
He's very good.
Yeah, and Barberena, the thing with Barberena is the dude is just tough as nails. And he's a Homer Simpson of all Homer Simpsons. Like, he can just get in there and press you and just beat you up and do the stuff. This should be a Muradov fight, all right? This should be a Muradov fight. He loves his knees. He loves his flying knees. We've seen Barberena duck into a few knees quite a bit. That's almost his Achilles is getting hit by knees. You get a taller 2-3 inch advantage Muradov. All he has to do is bring his knee up. This is a Muradov fight. That said, we saw Muradov get really gassed out trying to kill Mearshart. So he had Mearshart hurt a lot and then just went in for the kill and ended up death gassing himself out. I mean, this is one of those things where you can hurt Barberena, and if you blow yourself out trying to kill him and he's still there, he's going to be there. I mean, this is a Muradov spot. I think Muradov is a play here. He's bigger. I think he's pretty much better everywhere. He's longer. His wrestling is there. But be careful with the Homer Simpson-ness of Barberena, especially because I think everyone is going to be on the Muradov here. And like you said just a minute ago, a lot of times look at JDM the other day. I mean, everyone on the planet is on JDM. And I thought he won that damage hands down. But, man, that was a close fight against a guy out of nowhere. So crazy shit can happen.
I just got to watch that fight this morning, and boy, was I disappointed.
Right? Jumping for guillotines. How many guillotines he jumped for?
They were pretty good attempts, but no excuse for him, and then he kept losing them. It's like after 7 tries, like,
I'm going to go for number 8. I'm going to get number 8. Not number 9. 9's the one. Like I said, I think Muradov is good. If round 1 ends and Muradov is looking a little sluggish, Barberena is a live bet here, considering the history of Muradov. We've seen him gas a little bit and slow down a little bit, and Barberena we know won't. So again, Barberena's been beating up old guys. Muradov's the play here.
It'll work out perfect too, because after 1 round or 2 rounds, he's going to be plus 800. So perfect hedge opportunity if you're worried about Muradov cardio.
Exactly. So
he's going to get dropped 6 times, get back up, and then there you go. Perfect spot.
What's your thought on it? Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm just on the same way as you. Honestly, I think the big difference here is going to be the weight class, right? He's surviving these guys at 170, but now you add a 185er and a big one at that. I think that weight difference is going to be huge. First of all, I don't think he's going to move Muradov like he can other guys. And then that pressure is not going to wear on Muradov, right? He's got the bigger power to keep Barberena at bay. And say he does rock him, I think that power is a big difference to actually finally put him away and get the fight called.
Yeah. And if Muradov gets death gassed or even just hurt at all,
he
should almost be able to sneeze and shoot and take Barberena down.
Yeah.
So, all right, next up, who do we have next? Jamal Pogues and Mick Parkin. Give us your thoughts. Big boys coming in.
Yeah, I see a lot of people on Mick Parkin. I'm not necessarily sure why. He's big guy, but his wrestling isn't phenomenal. The thing that I really like about Jamal Pogues, I guess similar to Almeida, right? Jalton Almeida. These guys are guys that really aren't heavyweights that are fighting heavyweight. And Pogues is so freaking athletic. Like, he really is athletic. He sees things well. He parries punches super well. He returns, got a good jab, good low kick. The dude moves really well. He's super athletic. He's just a fat, super athletic guy. His grappling is good. You know, I thought he should have got Parisian out of there like 10 different times and, you know, a couple IQ mistakes. But I think the guy's athleticism is enough to make up for a lot of mistakes in his game, especially at heavyweight. So I get the Mick Parkin. He's got tight boxing and, okay, finding the body locks. And he's just a big old boy. But, honestly, in these kind of matchups, I'm going to choose the super, super athletic guy that is a jiu-jitsu black belt, can grapple, got a good jab. I like Pogues a lot, just in general, but I like him in this matchup here too.
It's funny. What is the line on this? I don't even know who is.
It's pretty tight.
Let me see. Pogues is minus
Minus
155.
162.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Man, I like Pogues here. Parkin is, I think you said he's very unathletic. He's slow. If you watch him punch. So first of all, in the Contender Series, I forget who he fought. That Brazilian kid just went out him like a crazy man. Just went out swinging, going nuts. Mick took him down, which wasn't an amazing takedown. It was just like locked his hands under the butt, lifted him, sat him, and then the Brazilian just sat there and kind of adrenaline out. We're done. You look at his fights outside of the UFC beforehand, and man, he's slow. He's not an overly fast boxer. He's almost a little bit too technical for his own good, in the sense where if he was very technical, that's one thing. And if you're sloppy, but you're just swinging for the fences, that's another thing. He is trying to be technical, but he doesn't have this great speed or this great power, or is technical enough to really get away with the stuff. And then on the other side, you mentioned Pogues' jab. That is a fast human, especially for heavyweight, and a really good fast jab. Standing, he does all of the right stuff, on a striking level. His offensive wrestling is pretty good. The issue with his jiu-jitsu isn't his jiu-jitsu itself, but that he's comfortable in his jiu-jitsu. And so he scrambles. And so he's given up these positions. We saw it in his fight when he got heel hooked. You just see him kind of okay with these things, almost like he's a 145-pound Brazilian. Like, oh yeah, let me play on my back and throw an armbar, and then we'll wiggle. And it's like, dude, you're a heavyweight. Fight like a heavyweight. Let's not get stupid over here. But he has good balance. I don't really see Mick being able to take him down. If he does, I don't see him able to keep him down if Pogues doesn't want to. And then the speed, athleticism, and jab mainly is. I think it's probably going to be a over type of situation where Pogues just jabs him,
good call.
ends up on top, I like Pogues here.
Because Pogues doesn't put guys away like he should. Like, he really doesn't put a stamp on it. Even that Contender Series fight was so frustrating for me. And then not taking Parisian down and just submitting him was like so frustrating for me. Like, he's a slow guy, but like he's slow in his process, I guess what I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree. He doesn't know all the tools that he has at his disposal, and is using the wrong ones. He hasn't really grown into himself yet as a fighter. Diakiese, Joel, Alvarez. Man, Diakiese, his striking used to be really good, but then he couldn't wrestle at all, and so he would get out wrestled. And now his wrestling has improved so much, but I think his striking has gotten a little sloppy because of it. And I don't know that you got to kind of see like what brought you to the dance, and you see that all the time with American wrestlers. Wrestling got them to the big show. They land one big fake the shot overhand right, knock somebody out, and then they never wrestle again to save their lives. And that's almost Diakiese on the other side, where his striking was really good. He checked kicks well. He had good movement. He had really good kicks, good jab. And then he started wrestling so much, and we saw it in the Michael Johnson fight where, man, yeah, your wrestling's good when you're not wrestling really good wrestlers, but it's not that good yet. And Michael Johnson, who we rarely see wrestle anymore, just basic sprawl, good hips here and there, shut it down. And on the other side,
he's fighting Joel Alvarez.
Exactly. So Alvarez on the other side, I think he's gotten a lot better as well. You look at his fight; the fights that he's lost are Damir Ismagulov, and where we've seen Damir not look as amazing as of late. But if you look at Alvarez in that fight, Alvarez looked really young and just inexperienced at the time. And then we saw him against Sarukian. But other than that, man, he dismantled Thiago Moises. His striking is solid. He's aggressive. And the other thing is, man, people get so freaked out about his striking that they shoot. And the second they do, he locks up a good guillotine, knows how to finish it. And if he doesn't, he ends up coming up on top. I think Alvarez is going to freak Diakiese out standing. And I think Diakiese is going to shoot, even though he may not want to, and end up in some trouble in some of those submissions. even if he gets out of the submissions, I think is probably going to be a guillotine type of submission where he ends up rolling to his back and we see Alvarez on top doing some damage. I like Alvarez here. And I like Diakiese. I really like him. I thought he was going to beat Michael Johnson. But I think he's gotten a little sloppy with his striking, and it's not going to be up to par here.
Nope, you're wrong on this one. Sorry about that one. This is a Marc Diakiese fight. His striking, Thiago Moises is a solid fundamental striker. But Diakiese's got that raw athleticism, right? He's got those athletic things that a lot of people can't do. He's kind of reminds me of like Izzy on a lot of things. I gotta go easily with the guy who will wrestle for top control and is not going to hang out on the bottom and doesn't have ultimate faith in his jiu-jitsu. Man, these guys that just go for nonstop subs and gas themselves out in 2 minutes, it drives me crazy. I think Diakiese can put together a solid 15 minutes of fighting where I don't think Joel Alvarez can. If you're really banking on a guillotine, him slipping in a guillotine, then just bet Joel Alvarez sub. Like if that's really what you feel. On the feet, I think Diakiese does enough to stay safe. And then at any time, the wrestling is a threat there. So if he does get caught or does get finished, I do believe it would be a guillotine or a submission. But honestly, I think it's so hard to freaking finish those. Rafael Alves finishing one is a different story. That dude is the strongest man and the most compact man, and he got caught within the first minute and a half of the fight. But Joel Alvarez, I don't know. I don't think it's the same caliber. I got Marc Diakiese, and I think that's a really solid play and really great value on him.
Okay. Interesting. I'm curious to see how this one plays out because I'm looking at Alvarez now. I mean, he submitted Joe Duffy, who I don't think is as good as people think he is. It's just hard to fight those tall guys like that. They're so weird.
I get it.
And I don't...
You just take them down. That's what you do instead.
Yeah, but I think that's a little easier said than done, especially because you got to shoot from so far away. And that's the thing I think Diakiese is going to have a hard time with is finding
Marc would out wrestle Armin. Be honest. Be honest. Armin's my size. Just kidding, guys. It's jokes. We joke here.
You guys, we got to stop the pod because Brandon's having a stroke. I think we should call an ambulance. All right. I think that's our first split of the night. Danny Roberts, Johnny Parsons. Go. See if we're split on this too.
Yeah, this has been a really, really, really tough one for me. At one point I was super, super high on Danny Roberts. I was like, man, this guy just does everything pretty well. Like, nowhere is he amazing. He's not going to win every fight standing, but he gets beat in the stand-up. He goes to the grappling. He's athletic enough. He fights for top control enough. His cardio is good enough. He does a lot of things really, really well. And then you watch his last few fights. Hold on. Let me pull up.
Well, JDM.
Roberts. Yeah, JDM. And that one was weird. I mean, the guy here's the point I'm trying to make. I was in the arena watching him versus Trinaldo, and I thought he was going to kill Trinaldo. I was like, what is the matchmaking here? And Trinaldo had that guy hurt with almost every single punch that he threw. It was pretty horrific. Like, it was one of the worst beatdowns that I've seen. And then he goes immediately to fight JDM. I really think Danny Roberts needs to fire his manager because he's not serving him well. The thing that scares me is his reaction to the punches, right? Before JDM even finished that, I mean, he was circling on the outside, and the second he got hit, he was almost in panic mode, right? He was circling, running away. He wasn't reacting to punches very well. And now we're coming off, I think, didn't he make it to a decision with Trinaldo? Yeah. He made it to decision and got knocked out by JDM, but those might as well have been 6 knockouts in those 2 fights.
Yep.
And now he's 36 also, fighting a guy who's primarily a kickboxer. So this is the trap I just don't want to fall into, is where I'm like, okay, man, how shit has Danny Roberts looked, but he's actually still really talented and still a really good fighter, versus Johnny Parsons, who's kind of short, kind of fat, and essentially kind of one-dimensional, right? He's the kickboxer. The things I did like about Johnny Parsons is his get-up game, right? When Solomon Renfro took him down, first thing he was doing was scooting his back up to the cage. He's 31, so that's better than 36. His striking is clean. It's clean. It's not as, I think of the pantheon of kickboxing coaches, right? I think of who's the Asa Tenpow. I think of Rafael Fazeev, Brad Riddell. I think of these kind of guys. And then you have Johnny Parsons. And I think one of those guys is not like the others. It's hard for me to say. I mean, I guess, my original thought on this was Johnny Parsons comes out and puts on a striking display and knocks him out, or has a pretty one-sided decision. But I also can see Danny Roberts just grappling to a victory here. Why not? He's going to be a lot bigger, a lot stronger, a lot more athletic. Man, this line being so close feels like recency bias on Danny Roberts' last 2 losses. Jeez, I don't really know where to go with this one. Honestly, for me to pick a side convincingly, I'd totally be lying. I think I would go Parsons because he does have the get up game and pretty clean, slick striking. But man, Danny Roberts could come out and look minus 300, right? Pretty easily, I think.
My thought on this is this is a Danny Roberts fight. Every which way it is, every which way, unless you're going,
he gets clipped
his chin. And so it's what we just said. It's like take his chin out of the equation and you're going, this is Danny Roberts. Like if Danny Roberts had a chin, we wouldn't even be talking.
Yeah. Is this 2 years ago? This is not a close fight.
Right. And so then you got to go, okay, does Parsons chin him? And Parsons is not a great puncher. Parsons is a kicker. He is a plod forward Muay Thai kicker, and he shells up well. And he's on his back foot. He checks kicks, and then he fires that right low kick and that right high kick. I don't know that is going to be what is going to hurt Danny Roberts. We've seen it with Trinaldo. It's that big overhand. We saw it with JDM. It's body head. I don't know that that's going to be the same thing here. And I think Roberts is naturally, he almost reminds me of Mike Van Arsdale a little bit. In he's so long and
basketball
wild.
Coach?
No, are you kidding?
Oh, who's that?
Mike Van Arsdale
that dude coached the Rockets.
University of Iowa national champion, fought MMA, whatever. But this tall, big, lean, athletic guy, but not in the styles at all, but he can lunge in and out and just be there and then be gone so fast. Like you said, when he does get hit, he doesn't react well, and it's really weird, but he can come in and out so fast. And I think that's what we're going to see with Danny Roberts is I think he's going to touch him and then be gone, and touch him and then be gone, and then wrestle him, which he's a good wrestler. Danny Roberts' wrestling has actually gone through the roof not through the roof. There's levels, but way improved of what it used to be. And I think it's way better than Parsons. And I think he's going to be able to keep that pressure on him. I think Parsons' win here is Danny gets tired or Danny gets clipped. And I just don't see it being a head kick or kicks that are really going to knock Danny Roberts out here. I see it as being a, scrambling and punching in your face pocket type of stuff. And that's just not Parsons' style. So if you think he's going to get chinned, I would just stay off it. Otherwise, I think Danny Roberts is a decent buy here. They're both minus 110 on Bovada right now. It's even money. So, yeah, I like Roberts.
Yeah, I like that pick too. Honestly, I wish I could go the other way, but just for the sake of the show, I'll stick on Parsons. But
okay,
yeah, I think Roberts is better.
We've got Davey Grant and Daniel Marcos up next. This is one of those ones I looked at quite a bit, and because Davey Grant has just looked good lately. I mean, he just freaking knows how to win. Pulling up his record right now, he's 13-6. He beat Rafael Assunção and murdered Luis Smolka. Lost a close decision to Adrian Yanez. I mean, that was a split decision, but I thought Yanez won that. Of course, Chito beat him in the rematch. He beat Martinez with his big combo is the right hook to the body, and it doesn't matter if he's fighting a southpaw or orthodox fighter. Right hook to the body, left hook to the head. Every once in a while, he'll switch it up and go left hook to the body, right hook to the head. Those are his big punching combos. Everything he throws is sideways. Like, he doesn't throw a single punch straight down the middle. It is all coming from the right side, coming from the left side, and then he throws those teeps up the middle. Marcos on the other side, the dude is just clean. He just laser right down the middle. Everything is solid. Everything is clean. We saw it with Simon Oliveira, where throwing the front kicks, and he's just inching away, throwing all of the spinning attacks, and he just read those beautifully, ducking, framing, blocking. Just looked really good, really everywhere. I mean, his defensive wrestling, he'll float off a little bit, stand on one leg, good balance, does all of the right stuff. I think we've already seen this fight play out with Adrian Yanez, but Marcos, I think he's going to attack that low kick a little bit more than Yanez did. He checks kicks well. I think he hits a little bit harder than Yanez does. My only issue with Marcos is we haven't seen a lot of him in the last couple of years. So he fought twice, fought in the UFC, and then he fought in Contender Series. And then before that, he had let me see really quickly. It was 2019.
Like a 5-year layoff?
No, 3-year layoff before that. Okay. So anything before that, if you look at the fights, he looks fine, but he looks much improved right now. He looked, who was it in the Brandon Lewis and Simon Oliveira? He looked very good in those fights. It almost looked like he wanted to fade and cardio gas out a little bit. And he didn't. But I think that was just
because he beat that dude within an inch of his life every freaking minute of every round. What do you mean?
I think he was just so much better that he didn't. But if they were like slugging and you had a guy in front of him who could fight a little bit more, I almost wonder if he will. And we know that Davey Grant's fighting to the bell. So that's my only worry here. The other thing is Davey Grant's competition level is way higher than Marcos's. That said, I like the younger, cleaner guy without a loss. He hasn't given me any reason. Like, I don't really know of a reason why he would lose. I just kind of wonder, does he have the cardio? There's some questions in my mind. Without having those questions answered, and say he does have the cardio to match the pace of Davey Grant for 15 minutes, I've got to say I think he wins. This is going to be some film study stuff on Marcos. We're going to see if he's a real deal or not, because we don't really know. What I've seen of him, I really like. There's not really anything that I don't like about him, so I've got to assume all of the good stuff is there and that he will be prepared. And if he doesn't gas, I think he wins this.
Yeah, see, this is where I worry. So, man, I just picked against Danny Roberts, and now picking against Davey Grant on the London card is tough. But I'm with you. I mean, I think Davey Grant is good, and he's a tough son of a bitch, but he's 37 and he is beatable from a technical aspect. And the thing with Marcos too is he's big and long, just like Davey Grant is. Like, he's not a short bantamweight. He's got a great jab, great low kick. The dude is really freaking good. Beating Brandon Lewis the way that he did and putting him on death's door 100 times, and like you said, still fighting to the final bell and looking great doing it. Man, he's got the recipe for success, a great jab and great cardio, right? Which has led a lot of guys to a lot of success in the UFC. This fight, it's hard for me to go Davey Grant on it. Even in England, even on the London card, I just think dude's 7 years younger than him. He's cleaner, probably a lot more technical than him. It's hard for me not to go Daniel Marcos here. And I think that's a great spot.
Does this change anything? Both Davey Grant and Johnny Parsons are syndicate guys.
Wait, Davey Grant? Oh,
Davey Grant trains at Syndicate
actually,
in
that
Vegas,
does change
and Johnny
things.
Parsons is one of the kickboxing coaches over there.
I want to switch my pick to Danny Roberts.
Okay.
And I will stick on Marcos. The Danny parlay.
Okay, so
the double
both
D parlay.
So both syndicate guys lose?
Oh, yeah.
So interesting. Because I always think, man, there's the odds of one of them wins. You know, you got to think, all right, well, do they split it 50-50?
You're talking about a solid gym. You're talking about an ATT or a Extreme. This is syndicate. This is a little different.
Okay. All right. I was curious on that. All right. Next up, we've got Lerone Murphy and Josh Culebao. Give me your thoughts on this, because I'm curious about it. Um, man, this is a good fight.
Yeah, it really is a good fight. And everybody in the world has seemed like they're on Lerone Murphy. They're like, oh, this is the best spot for Murphy. And I'm thinking like, I don't think so. I don't know why. Maybe it'll look different once they face off, but I feel like Lerone is really short for the weight class, almost a little undersized. He's too big for 35, but too small for 45. And Kulibao, we've talked about him. He had the little fat around his waist, but he's a good size, right? He's kind of a taller, skinnier dude. I like Kulibao striking a lot better. I think Lerone Murphy's is so wide and it's so predicated on big power, where Kulibao is okay to touch you and move, and he manages range much, much better to me. Throws low kicks, stays active. I really, really like Kulibao's striking. I think it's super educated. And it shows me in the Choi fight, right? Choi is a good striker, but doesn't set things up, right? Everything is left hook, left hook. Even though his punches are crisp and tight, he's a little predictable. Kulibao, all he did was sit back, counter, sit back, counter, sit back, counter. He just kind of kept crashing the pocket and meeting him in the middle. I think this is a really good spot for Kulibao. I don't know what a Lerone clear victory looks like. Does he grapple and try to stay on top? But Kulibao is pretty hard to take down. Is he winning minutes with volume on the feet? I don't know. Is he going to chin Kulibao? I don't think so. So for me, I think there's pretty good value in Kulibao here.
Man, I agree with you 100%. Lerone is really kind of good everywhere, but a lot of that is predicated on athleticism. And you said it best. His punches are a little almost too athletic. Like he throws too much athleticism versus technique into him. And just big overhands, big hooks, lunging in. And he does it well and he closes distance. But Kulibao is just sharp. He is so clean on combinations, 3-4 punch combos, just a 1-2-3, just no excess, right down the middle, does all of the right stuff, switches stances effortlessly. Man, he'll jump on. We saw him with Melsick, where he was probably losing that stand-up battle. Melsick made one screw up, slipped, fell to his butt for a millisecond, and Kulibao jumped on him and finished that choke. I mean, his sense of urgency, his technique, his cardio, everything that Kulibao has shown us has been top notch. And Lerone, man, I thought he lost his last fight. I watched that fight back, and hey, look, he fought a really good guy. I mean, there's that, but then Lerone was getting, of course, mauled by Makhmud round one, but Makhmud does it to everybody round one, then fades. Of course, he cut him with the knee. I think Lerone has been very fortunate with the matchups, and he's getting the matchups in England, but he's won too many fights, and now he's creeping up to the main
time for some
card.
regression.
Yep. Well, like you say it, we say it all the time. These theme cards, these events in London, Australia, Brazil, whatever. The undercard, if you didn't know anything about MMA or fighting, just go with the guy who's closest to where the card is. All right, just geographically, the local guy is the Brazilians are going to win in Brazil, or the South Americans are going to win against a European in Brazil. That's just the way they want these matchups in those favors. Once you hit the main card, generally you're getting guys who aren't necessarily in that same tier. And now you're getting guys who have actually won and have to actually fight their way to the win. It's not going to be a stylistic matchup for one person or the other person. And that's what we have here is you've got Lerone Murphy and Kulibao opening up the main card. Whoever wins is going to get that next push. So both these guys have to actually fight it out. And for the rest of the card on the main card, outside of Molly McCann, you're not going to see necessarily a one-sided fight in these situations. So I like Kulibao, and I'm sticking with it.
All right.
Who do we got? Jai Herbert and Faris Zayam. And this is a close fight right here, just in terms of body style, athleticism, like technique, like what they do. Man, Jai Herbert is athletic. He's long. He's got really good, clean striking. I mean, he really has a lot to really love. He doesn't have great wrestling or wrestling defense. And honestly, he's training with the champ now, but he doesn't have great get-ups. He doesn't have that defensive grappling. Then Zayam on the other side, who's been at Killcliff now for a bit, he has kind of that French karate style, in and out, glides, kind of touch, move. But he's been wrestling. We saw that with the Figlak fight. So I think if this fight is a stand-up affair, I think it's Jai Herbert. I don't want to say all the way. Yeah, I think it's a Herbert fight because I think Herbert is going to land the bigger punches and Zayam is going to be kind of touching and evading a little bit more. But if Zayam decides to wrestle, which I think he will, I think he's going to win this fight almost uncontested. I think the striking will kind of nullify the situation a little bit, and then he ends up winning those grappling exchanges, whether he's pushing to the fence, whether he's getting a takedown, whether he's hanging on him, or whether he's just stealing moments with the grappling. I think the grappling is going to be the real difference here, and I think Zayam is going to win that those exchanges. So I think Zayam's going to win this via grappling.
Geez, if you had to run it back, what would you line Zayam and Terrence McKinney if they had a rematch today?
Oh man, today Zayam minus 200, McKinney plus 160. You know what I mean? And
yeah, and that's probably about right. And it was crazy because it wasn't even a close fight. Nothing happened. Just was over. I like Zayam, and Zayam's always been a pretty freaking good prospect. Like since his days with Malarkey, the Vendramini fight was such a beautiful fight until he got knick-knacked in the third round. I don't know that I would clearly say that that Jai would win on the feet. Again, weirdly, like Jai is a very tall guy, and I think the market underrates Jai a lot. Always, I think they underrated him in the Ludovic Klein fight. I thought they underrated him in the Ilya Topuria fight. And I know obviously he got sent to the Shadow Realm in that fight, but he did really well, better than his price would have implied, right? Man, I think Jai is a lot better than people give him credit for. And he's another one of those guys where you just go, oh, his glass chin is glass chin. But he hasn't shown glass chin in a little bit, other than Ilya, who is doing that to everybody. But Zayam too, Zayam is like, from what they always say on every broadcast, a pretty credentialed kickboxer, right? And he looks the part. His jab is super clean. His movement is good. He just looks like he's comfortable and knows what he's doing on the feet. So I wouldn't say it's one-way traffic. I honestly think the person who's going to win the stand-up is the person who decides to come forward, because we've seen both of these guys be counterpunchers and circle their backs on the cage a lot. I do think you're right, though. Zayam, two things I like. One, Zayam has been spending more time than ever at Killcliff. So at the very least, he has some semblance of game planning now, which is something I think he didn't have early in his career. He was just kind of a talented guy that would go out and fight. And then two, you're right, is the grappling. Man, I did not expect him to beat Figlak. I really thought Figlak was a lot better than he was. And man, he made him look silly. I think for that reason, for that grappling upside, I think the price is probably right here. I like Zayam for the win. As much as I've been riding this Jai Herbert train, I've taken him the last 5 fights against Nelson, Ludovic, and Ilya. So time to switch sides. I think that Zayam. But again, making me nervous, keep going against these hometown guys.
But, I don't know that a London card, that hometown is just London. I think that's Europe. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the whole...
Where the hell is France? I thought that was Asia.
Not far from London. Man, I think it's kind of the Lerone Murphy and Josh Keelabau situation. I think this is that two closely lined fighters from the same area, and the winner is going to get the push. But I think they want Zayam to win, because I think Zayam has more upside than Jai Herbert. I think he can go further.
How old is Jai, 35?
I don't know. Let me see right now.
Yeah, he's 35.
Is he 35? Yeah. So he's 35. They don't have a ton of French fighters. I think.
How dare you think the
Zayem
26-year-old has more upside than the 35-year-old?
I know, I'm stupid. Sometimes I say dumb stuff. I should, I'll go now. So, all right, next up we got Paul Craig and Andre Muniz. Paul Craig is dropping down to 185 here. What do you got? Does a crazy Scotchman take arms?
Let me hear you on this one, because these two guys, I don't like either of these guys. Now they're fighting each other. So if you could go first on this one.
So I'll keep it pretty simple. You've got two specialists, all right, in a Paul Craig and an Andre Muniz, and they're grappling. And you've got a guy in Muniz who's longer and way more comfortable standing. I think he's more athletic, and I think he has better cardio. So I think for Paul Craig to win this, he's got to armbar or triangle Muniz, and I don't think he's going to. And we saw that with the Brendan Allen thing. Brendan wore Muniz out and was able to use his cardio as a weapon. Is Paul Craig going to use his cardio as a weapon? Like, he tries to use his cardio as a weapon, it's called suicide. Like, there's no way, like, he's going to out cardio Muniz.
Really?
I mean, I don't think so, man. I think Muniz
Really?
Do you see Paul Craig death gas and panic and pull guard?
Do you see Andre Muniz do the exact same thing? Did you watch the way that Brendan Allen just passed his guard because Muniz was laying out like a dead man before he got submitted?
That's what I'm saying. Brendan Allen is good enough to use his cardio as a weapon to where he's standing there and Muniz is dead on the ground. Paul Craig doesn't have that luxury of pushing the pace and doing all of that without gassing. I think if he tries to do that, I think he ends up gassing himself out. And I think Muniz's cardio is just better. I think he's better at jiu-jitsu all around than Paul Craig. I think Paul Craig is very good from his back. He's probably the best guy we've seen in MMA off his back in a very long time.
Other than Muniz.
Yeah, but Muniz takes people down, takes their back, scrambles, transitions off of the back into that armbar. He actually has...
sometimes, but he freaking armbarred Jacare and Eric from his back and Bartos from his back. All of those are from his back.
Eric, he blast doubled. As Eric was standing up, he took Eric's back. As Eric was defending the back, he jumped to the arm.
Where was he when the arm was finished? Was he on the ground or was he on his back?
He took it from Eric Anders' back, not from his back.
And where did he finish? He was on his back when he finished that.
He does a weird stylistic thing that we knew he was going to do.
Transition. He sacrificed for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But against a guy like Paul Craig, I mean, he would just stay on his back and beat him up. I mean, like, look, Paul Craig is good at what he does, but I mean, even let's take a look. Who did he?
I think you're giving Muniz too much credit here.
I'm not giving Muniz credit.
Muniz being forced to grapple for 2 minutes is going to wear him the hell out.
What do you think he's going to do to Paul Craig?
I think they're going to just play leg locks. I think they're going to double guard pull and stare at each other in their beautiful eyes. They're going to
double guard pull and then try and win off an advantage. So exactly, and if they double guard pull and win off an advantage, I think it's Muniz that wins off of having slightly better cardio and having slightly better wrestling and having slightly better striking.
What the hell does slightly better wrestling do for you when the guy you're fighting wants to be on his back? You're going to blast double him to put him exactly where you are, and you're going to be dog shit tired?
You don't even need to blast double him. He'll pull guard for you, and you just don't get armbarred.
Oh, my God. All right, Paul Craig, if you're listening, and we know that you are, pretend like you don't want to be taken down. Make Muniz work super, super hard for the takedown, and then round 2, when he's dog shit tired, you'll be able to throw a flying triangle, whatever you want to do to him.
Now, Paul Craig's a guy who got Kimura'd by Jimmy, I'm not in the UFC anymore crew.
Come on.
Come on, man. Like, I mean, tell me it didn't happen. He got, like...
and freaking Muniz got his guard pass and choked out by a black belt from Louisiana, so relax.
All right, let's look at this.
He laid there like a dead man.
Andre Muniz beat Uriah Hall by decision, kept the pace
Black men
up.
have no jiu-jitsu, so whatever.
Eric Anders, Jacare, and Jacare sucks.
Case in
no
point.
jiu-jitsu at all.
Okay, come on.
But Arroyo submitted Bruno Assis. We've never heard of Bruno Assis. He didn't know jiu-jitsu, does he? Bruno Assis?
I actually don't remember him.
Bruno Assis is a kickboxer,
no bullshit.
right? Out of Ukraine.
Oh no!
Come on,
wait,
Bruno Assis, he's like a world champion black belt. Like, come on.
No, he's not. Do you know who Bruno Assis is? He's got like 7 black belts in 7 different disciplines, and every Bruno Assis fight is him getting slept 2 times and then coming back from the dead to hit a shitty judo throw and get some random armbar. He's not a world champion jiu-jitsu player. You are crazy just because he's got some Brazilian name. The dude's horrible. So please, before you do this, I know Bruno Assis very well.
So round 3, guard pass, death gas to Brendan Allen, who is really at the bottom of the division. Submitted Sam Alvey. I don't know if he beat Jacob
The way that
Malkin.
he laid there, he just laid there and was like, all right, whatever. And then he just turned his back and got choked out. It was
beat Puna, Roberson. His only loss since 2021 is against Chris Curtis. You're out of your mind, man.
Okay, I would take Brendan Allen over Paul Craig. I would take Brendan Allen over Paul Craig. Yeah, easy.
Man. So you're saying Paul Craig wins?
Fuck it. Paul Craig wins.
Paul Craig wins.
On sheer aggression and chewing tree bark, that dude is going to win because Muniz is going to shoot blast doubles. He's going to be pissed off when his little gay arm bars don't work. And then Paul Craig is going to just show the world what's up.
How does Paul Craig win? Via armbar or triangle? Round what?
Knockout. You can't stop the Bear Jew.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to bet this fight. I think they both are the same people. And, you want to make this whole case about flying over from Brazil. That's going to gas him. He's gassed by the time he gets there.
Gassed by the time he got off the plane.
This is a Bear Jew. I'm going to be the only one who calls this too. Look, every YouTuber is going to be on Muniz. I'm on the Bear Jew.
Okay. I'm not like...
You're shouting from.
Oh, okay,
are you on a rooftop?
I'll shout.
Are you on the roof?
I'm on the roofs. I'm on the roof. I'm on the roof with my air conditioner that needs to be changed and replaced, and it's 117 degrees in Phoenix.
Maybe you can bet on Muniz your life savings, and we can get this freaking podcast room done.
Oh, the air conditioner actually. The reason why I know my air conditioner on my roof needs to be fixed. They said it'll probably get me through the year, and then I got to switch it. Is because the AC guy was here in the podcast room connecting the AC and getting all of that up and running today. So the AC is there. I think by next week, the next podcast will be in the studio.
Well, that's what you think. But anyways.
Yeah. I think we'll be in the studio talking about how Muniz didn't get knocked out by
Got knocked out first round.
All right, Nathaniel Wood, Andre Fili. Give me your thoughts on this.
Okay, this is interesting because I was thinking, man, Nathaniel Wood is tiny, and Nathaniel Wood is tiny.
He's tiny.
He's listed an inch shorter than me, and he's fighting 145, which is crazy. And I was like, man, has he fought somebody that's bigger than him? And I forgot I played him pretty decently against Charles Jourdain, which in hindsight looks like a really good win because Jourdain looks like clean. Like I really like Jourdain. I think he's got a much better game than he used to. And there was a size difference there. I think the same thing is going to be here. I think Nathaniel Wood is clean as hell on the feet, but I think the thing that could give him problems in this is actually the grappling. I think the size and the grappling is 2 things that actually could give him issues. I think the bet that I'm going to like this week for this fight is the Fili spread. Wood is good, but we haven't seen him finishing a ton of guys.
Anyone.
I mean, if you can't finish, anyone. If you can't finish Charles Rosa, like things are going to get tough for you. So if we can find a Andre Fili spread bet, I think it's a really good one because I can see a world where Fili takes him down and dominates him on top for a round, and maybe Wood gets up and then, round 2 he does well, round 3 does well. But Fili's striking, I've never been a fan of. I think people think that it's better than it is because he throws kind of random head kicks and his striking is so wide and so slow. But I actually am a bigger fan of his grappling. Like he's got a pretty decent blast double. He's got good top control. And man, he's just going to look so much bigger. Even his arms in his last fight looked huge. So the size is what I worry about with Nathaniel Wood. I guess it's going to almost remind me of like Mach 1 and Jack Shore, like that fight. We have the guy who's a lot better and a lot more talented, but he's just going to get big bodied and big brothered possibly. So I think the winner of this fight is still Nathaniel Wood, but I think a Feely spread bet or like a Feely round 1 or something like that could be a really, really good bet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Nathaniel Wood is a better fighter, but man, Feely is huge, and he throws. He's got a good right hand, but man, it's his right kick that he throws that really does the damage. That right kick is good. What he does with his blast double, as you mentioned it, is I wouldn't even call it blast double. He times the double very well, and he actually redirects it. So when he shoots his double, he'll shoot his head. Almost always, his head is on his right side, so his opponent's left hip. And he runs it, and instead of using his head to drive his head to the left, he actually runs it and redirects it to the right and knee picks, knee taps, and circles the other way in the transition. It's a beautiful redirect double, and he times it really well. We forget that he spent all of the time at alpha male as he has. I think we almost forget that he's an alpha male guy because he's a striker. He does not wrestle a lot. And we kind of think, oh, the alpha male guys are going to mix in the wrestling a lot. And he does. And he doesn't do it a lot, but when he does it, it's really effective. Nathaniel Wood is freaking good. I don't think that Nathaniel Wood is going to be able to take Feely down if he wants, unless it's something like a Muay Thai trip, clinch trip type of thing, foot sweep. But Nathaniel Wood is just freaking good. But man, he's going to be tiny. I've got to think that Nathaniel Wood knows what he's doing going up in weight, that he's going to be fighting these big 145ers, even though he's tiny. So I got to assume that he's fine there just because he's a guy with a good record and good fights and a good team and all of that stuff behind him.
But it just seems weird. It just seems like it's weird. Not his class.
It does not seem like he was a giant. Like Jack Shore looks like a big 35er to me. It's like, all right, he can fill into 145, whatever. Nathaniel Wood looks like a tiny guy. He looks like Peter Yan. It's like, why is Peter Yan's not fighting at 45? And that to me is Nathaniel Wood. I've got to assume that the better guy wins here. But man, it would not surprise me to see the big man big.
Yeah, so I guess we come to the same stuff quite often.
Yeah. Molly McCann, Julia Stolyarenko. I'll actually talk about this first. Look, McCann is the plus side here. She's the A side. She's the winner. I think Julia is 1-4, 1-5 in her UFC tenure.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. You are ride or die for this girl? Are you about to jump off this bandwagon?
No, I'm going Stolyarenko always.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
No, Molly's the better fighter here. But this could be a parlay buster. I think Molly's a winner here. I think Molly does win. Molly is so aggressive and almost like stumbles her way forward a lot. You watch Molly in Ji-Yun Kim, and she won that fight. But man, she was so off balance. She actually dropped herself with a headbutt. Like she's lunging in with her head and just headbutt, boom, right to the canvas. Probably 3-4 minutes in round one. Just, of course, she recovered well. She throws big meat hooks. But the issue, though, is that she will almost like schoolyard punch her way in. And I think if like Stolyarenko is just literally falls to her back, Molly will follow her arm in hand for Stolyarenko. Like it's just one of those things where if Molly gets stupid, Stolyarenko could find a freaking armbar, and she is the way better fighter. It's actually Stolyarenko got offered to us with Tracy Cortez. Tracy was supposed to actually fight B. Maleki in Abu Dhabi and on Fight Island. And about a week or 2 weeks out, no, I think it was like 7 or 10 days out. We're literally getting ready to go. They called and wanted her to fight Julia Stolyarenko, and I said no. And the UFC was beside themselves, and I was like, no, we're not doing it. I said, anybody else on the roster, we're not doing it. And They
So is
offered.
Tracy ducking Stoliarenko?
No, I was ducking Stoliarenko for just the fact that I said, we'll fight anybody else on the roster. I don't care. And they offered Stephanie Eggers, and I was like, done. And they're like, you realize that Eggers is infinitely better than Stoliarenko? And I said, I know. But the way that we were training an entire camp to get a takedown, Tracy has been in arm bars in every single one of her fights. So for 8 weeks, we've been training get a takedown. And against the one girl whose only thing is a freaking arm bar going in, I'm like, no, I'm not fighting a girl that the only shot that she has is what we've been training for months. I'm not giving somebody that out. And so they offered, and they're like, that's crazy. I'm like, but it's a stylistic fight. That's my point, is that like fighting is styles a lot of the time. Like MMA math doesn't match up. It doesn't make sense a lot of the time. And that's what we have here with Stoliarenko with McCann. McCann should win. She should beat her up. But holy shit, if she gets stupid and sloppy and just falls down thinking, oh man, I'm doing a good thing by getting on top, man, she could just fall into an arm bar and screw a lot of things up.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this because Stoliarenko is moving down a weight class. So she is going to be significantly bigger than Molly if she can make it to this fight. She is passing out on scales at 135, at 140. So 2 questions. How the hell do you think she can make 125? She looks in a lot better shape on her Instagram, like she's actually running for the first time in ever. But 2, do you think this is going to be better for her cardio or worse for her cardio? And the reason that I say that, there's 2 camps to this, right? There's the fact that she's probably had to run a ton more to be able to even think about this weight class. So her cardio probably is going to be better in camp. But then 2, the weight cut itself is so draining on the cardio and the cardiovascular system. So where do you think she actually ends up being with cardio as a problem that we've seen before?
I think she's going to have better cardio because I think she was a little frumpy at 35 and not taking it seriously and fighting up weight classes. And I mean, she fought Chandler, who was just huge. I mean, just a massive human compared to her. And then even in her debut against Yana, I mean, she's just fighting these really big girls. And I don't think she ever should have been fighting those really big girls. And I think her being in shape, she should
is a really
fight.
big girl.
She is, but she's like a frumpy girl. So you get a girl, even like take Chandler, Chelsea Chandler, who just fought. Get that girl in shape, and she should be 10 pounds lighter. Like, you get a lot of these 45ers, they should be 35ers. You get some of these 35ers, they should be 25ers. And I think Stoliarenko is one of those girls who, gosh, for as bad as she looks sometimes, she's actually not that bad. She just makes bad decisions. And if she was a little bit bigger and wasn't so outclassed, maybe she does a little bit better. Look, Molly is the side here, but Molly is reckless. Molly is just reckless, and she's just got to make sure that she's not too reckless.
Man, the line is starting to call to me, right? This isn't Molly minus 500 over whoever the hell. This is starting to get to a playable spot for me. The thing I just don't understand is people are so quick to jump on and off people, right? Because Molly, people wanted to hate on Molly and Patty. I thought that was one of the most fun cards of last year, right? Where they won in London and they're running around with the belts and
it was awesome.
Like they're singing, they're drunk on the side. It was so fun. I saw them in Phoenix a few weeks later and nothing changed. There's no cameras on them and they are just drinking and dancing and having fun. Like, it was great. I don't understand
Molly,
why
we were in
people...
London for that card, and Molly was drunk coming up to us chatting and talking like we'd known our whole lives. And we're like, these people are awesome.
Yeah, so I don't understand why people hate Molly so bad. Right? She lost to Erin. I rewatched the fight because everyone talks about how bad that Molly's ground game is, and it's not world class and it's not the best ever. But Erin shot in and she cut a corner. That's something like right away that most girls don't do. And then her top control, the way that she lifts the leg and then scorpions them underneath, everything that Erin does is like exactly how you would teach it. Like you personally, how you would teach it. She's phenomenal. She's not Stoliarenko. There's not a lot of grappling in Lithuania. There's not a lot of high level wrestling in Lithuania. And you can see that evidenced in her fights, right? She throws well, one thing I will say about Stoliarenko I was surprised with is her speed, right? On the watch back, even in the Chelsea Chandler fight, her speed was pretty impressive, right? She's throwing those little outside leg kicks. Her punches were pretty fast. Her shots were pretty fast. And the only time she was really getting countered is when Chelsea would just high hip her, right? She would just put those hips, jump over top of her, and then she'd fall flat on her back. That's something I don't think is going to happen at this weight class, right? Molly is so much smaller than her. She doesn't have that weight and that heavy hips like Chelsea Chandler does. So I don't see that happening. Honestly, what I see then is Stoliarenko getting the takedown and Molly having to butt scoot to the cage, stand back up. And that makes things interesting, right? And the jiu-jitsu angle makes things interesting. If Molly can avoid the armbar, I think it's going to be a very clear win and clear victory for her because Stoliarenko is willing to sacrifice the best position in order to go for her one move. And if that one move doesn't work, she kind of falls apart. She doesn't love being hit. You can see that. She is good as an aggressor. She'll swing on you and she'll be tough and be in your face. But when she starts getting hit, you see her change. You see her back down. You see her shrink a little bit. And the one thing about Molly is, yes, she is reckless, but she does put boxing combinations together. She's not afraid to get hit. She'll stand in the pocket. She can go 15 minutes, and that's all things that we haven't really seen from Stoliarenko. That plus the new weight class, man, this line is in a playable spot for me with Molly. So I got Molly, and I think they gave her about the easiest fight that they possibly could. Right, it's the one trick pony. Avoid this, and you'll be okay. Like it's kind of like Bilal Muhammad and Damian Maia. He just knew defend the single leg. I'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm with it. I think Molly's a play here. I like her. Again, my only, and I'm not saying don't play her because of it, but just that is what could go wrong is that. Not to say it will go wrong, but if something does go wrong, it's Molly getting overly aggressive.
I could see it.
Following her to the ground, and then the armbar comes. All right, man, we got main event. Tybura, Aspinall. What you got, homie?
Yeah, this is a Aspinall bounce back spot. For the people that doubt, man, there was this one podcaster, I can't remember his name. I used to just like beef with him for fun. I would just like jump on and hear his opinion and just be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I remember getting to argument with him. He's like, yeah, Aspinall is so basic. He's just so basic. And I was like, well, first of all, he's not, but even if he is, like, that's what wins fights. Like, he's good. He's got a great 1-2. He's got great counters. His striking's really good. If anything, there's to knock on Aspinall. It's just that his chin is so high. But, he knows how to make the head movement work, and he does everything else really, really well. I think this is a great...
Sorry, I just want to interrupt you really quickly there. He's aware of his chin. If you watch him in fights, his chin floats high, and then you see him, like, overcorrect
as he comes into range.
Yes, and he overcorrects it. So, yes, that is a thing, but he's aware of it as well. And it's never really been an issue, but keep going because that is something to note.
Yeah, and you're right. And the only place that's going to trouble him is if someone closes their eyes and they swing a big haymaker and they're going to clip him when it's not dictated on his time. For the guys, for the people that talk about the Aspinall cardio, and that's their biggest point of contention with Tom Aspinall is the cardio fade. Then here's the spot for you, right? Because Tybura will fight all the time, right? He never stops fighting. He's one guy in MMA that just knows how to fight, right? He doesn't overcommit to anything. He's not swinging the biggest punches. He just kind of throws enough volume out there to win rounds and fill up space, but never tires himself out. So if you like the Aspinall cardio angle, then this is the spot for you. But I don't think that this is particularly a close fight. I think Aspinall is so much better on the feet, right? His counters, his power, every single thing that he does. And at any point, if he wants to, I think he can take Tybura down, get on top, submit him, ground and pound him. I think that Aspinall can really win however he wants here.
Yeah. The thing, Tybura is a busybody, but he's not actually doing anything a lot of time. And we saw him in his last couple of fights. We saw him with
Blagoy.
Blagoy, and we've talked about Blagoy not pushing the pace, and we saw that with Romanov. And then he fought Romanov right before that, who Romanov, of course, threw him around for a round, and then Romanoved, and that's that. And Tybura wasn't, like, taking it to either of them. He's just being busy enough to win because those guys are not doing anything. And then you see him with guys who are more dynamic and who hit harder, and he loses. In talking about the chin, Tybura is almost completely linear punches. Everything is a 1 and a 2 right down the middle, and then he'll mix in his low kicks a little bit. That chin being up, to connect with Aspinall, you're going to have to throw hooks, and you're going to have to throw hooks at the end of your combinations. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then add a right hook behind on the other side to try to really capitalize on that. Because Aspinall's head movement is so good, he's so fast, and those linear punches I don't think are going to knock him out. But Tybura doesn't ever swing. When's the last time you saw him swing to hurt somebody?
Everything is so close to his body. Yeah.
Yep. He's just busy. He peppers. And that's good against guys who are gassed. He does enough and is super calm, stands back up, just does his work. But Aspinall is a blue chipper. And he's a blue chipper who is going to swing to hurt you. When he takes you down, he's not just going to stay there. He's going to swing for the fences to knock you out, or he's going to try to submit you. He's got a killer instinct. He has the athleticism. He's big. I mean, where's the knock on him here? I mean, what, his chin is up a little bit? Like, okay, well, do something about it. Tybura is not the guy who's going to do something about it. It's going to be a really, really, really good American wrestler like we saw in Curtis Blades, or somebody who is just really dynamic, like an Ngannou type, Biggie Boy, something like that, who just goes out there swinging and whoever connects first. But that's not Tybura. This is, look, they wanted to push Aspinall with Curtis Blades and set him up for a title shot. That backfired on him. This is not backfiring. This is the bounce back fight of the century. I mean, this is Tom Aspinall. I think, pretty one way, unless he does just death gas. If it's 5 rounds, he just gasses out hard for whatever reason. Maybe, I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying, like, if we're just talking right now, he has Tybura hurt. He swings to the fences. He death gasses, something weird like that. Outside of something crazy in that realm, I think this is an Aspinall fight here, and I think he looks good doing it.
All right, that's another show in the books.
In the books, people. Hopefully next time we're in our dedicated room. I don't know how we're going to design it yet. We'll see what happens.
So maybe it'll be a few weeks while we can get design up and get some stuff going on.
We'll see what we got. We'll see you next time, guys. Happy betting.